Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. תודה רבה לשגריר. אנחנו מתארחים בבית הספר ללימודי הסביבה על שם פורטר באוניברסיטת תל אביב. אז קודם כל זה הזמן להגיד תודה רבה על האירוח הנדיב לוועידה הזאת, לוועידה שהייתה בשנה שעברה ולהרבה פעילויות סביבתיות אזרחיות שמתארחות כאן. ואני שמח להזמין לדברי פתיחה קצרים את פרופסור קולין פרייס, ראש בית הספר למדעי הסביבה על שם פורטר.
Toda. I'll give my words of welcome in English for the guests from overseas. So we're very honored, first of all, to have the Minister of the Environment with us here today, the Ambassador from Germany, and I think Germany is one of the leading countries today, showing the world what can be done with climate change, renewable energies. We had an exhibition here at the school recently showing how Germany is actually leading the world in many of these areas, so we're very happy that you could be here with us today. Also, we're pleased to have the members of Parliament, Dov Khanin, and I think Yael Paran is here as well, somewhere in the audience. And I'd like to thank Naor personally for organizing this. It's not simple, and there was a lot of organization which went behind this climate summit. So I'd like to welcome everyone here to Tel Aviv University and more specifically the Porter School for Environmental Studies. This is the second summit, we've heard, second climate summit, and hopefully there'll be more to come. And we'll continue this tradition. Next year we'll have the third, and hopefully this will become a long-term tradition. For those who've been listening to the news in the last few days, it turns out that 2017 may again be one of the record years talking about global temperatures. It looks like, although we're not at the end of the year yet, that 2017 will be number 3, the third warmest year, at least since we've had the thermometer a few hundred years. And number 1 and 2 is 2016 and 2015. So the top 3 hottest years on record are the last 3 years. So things are definitely changing, and the science is, the data is fairly reliable, the science is reliable. And I think today, more than 95% of the scientists working on the topic of climate change will agree that climate change is real, there's a problem, and with the science that we've brought to prove that there's a problem, we also have the science to find solutions to the problems through policy, through renewable energies, through technologies. And so we understand there's a problem, but we also understand that there are solutions, but there's a great urgency to the matter. I think we see this through the Paris agreements, that all of the countries except 2, the United States and Syria, have signed on to the Paris Agreement. And that's actually quite amazing to have any international agreement with so many countries signing on. People know there's a problem, and now we have to find the solutions to it. And I think even countries like China and India, if you've looked at the news yesterday, you can't breathe in New Delhi yesterday because of the pollution. Countries like India and China are moving ahead. They're actually driving the change because they see it's not just for the climate, but it's actually for the health of the population. If you clean up the atmosphere, you reduce greenhouse gases, it reduces also soot and particles, and you actually improve the health of the population as well as taking care of the climate. So it's a win-win situation. And this last year, not only have we had breaking records in temperature around the world, but all of you have noticed the natural hazards around the planet, the typhoons, the hurricanes, Irma, Maria in the States, the fires in California, in Portugal, the flooding in Asia. We keep breaking more and more records. Although the actual hurricanes occur every year, the intensity of the hurricanes this year have been above what we've seen before. The length of time that Hurricane Irma was above Category 5 has never been seen before. And this we can directly relate to the temperatures of the oceans. The oceans are getting warmer. Warmer oceans have more evaporation of moisture. The moisture is the energy for the hurricanes, as well as the moisture for the rainfall when they actually rain. And in addition, the sea level's been rising, so when the hurricanes make landfall, they cause much more damage through the storm surge and the flooding in coastal regions. So the intensity and the damage we're seeing in Puerto Rico and other countries, we think the scientists is directly related to the warming of the oceans and the intensity of the changes in the climate, not necessarily the number of storms, but the intensity of them. The same with the fires, the intensity of the fires, the dryness of the vegetation, similar to what we saw last year, a year ago in Israel. The fires are produced by people, but the intensity of the fires are determined by the climate, the dryness of the vegetation. So the theme of the summit today, as we've seen, basically is linked to a global initiative called Mission 2020 or M2020, which is to try to change the slope of the greenhouse gas curve by 2020, to make that turn so that we reach the maximum around about 2020, and then we have a downturn in the concentrations in the atmosphere, and hopefully by about 2050 we have a zero net emission of CO2 into the atmosphere. And basically there are three prongs to this for those who can't read the Hebrew. Basically the one statement is that it's necessary now, there's an urgency to this matter, and we have to take matters into our hand today, or it may be too late. And we'll talk a bit about that later in the discussion. The second point is that it's desirable, that it's good for us if we take care of the climate change, as I mentioned before, also for health issues. If we take care of the climate, the greenhouse gases, the pollution, public transportation, it'll help our industries, help our health, and will give us also independence for energy. We won't be relying on other countries for our energy sources. And finally, that it's achievable, that we have the technologies today, and again, Germany is a great example. We have the technologies to now move away from fossil fuels to go into the clean tech, clean energies, and it's just a matter of will if we want to do it. So with that, I'll end at this stage, and I'll hope that you all enjoy the summit today, and thank you all for coming.